Hello, welcome to another Album of Record podcast, birthday edition. It's been 2 years, essentially 2 years since the podcast launched and 47 years since I've launched. How's it going, Andrew?
It is going pretty good. Happy birthday, Craig.
Thank you.
I hope that it is as warm in Cleveland as it is in Columbus. It is 53 degrees currently, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've been above freezing in like 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that.
In Cleveland, it's the first time since January 14th.
Insane.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else, too. Again, I don't know how much the sun varies because you guys are a little bit further east than us, but we crossed the 6:02, 6 o'clock mark for sunset, and we crossed the 6:30 mark for last light because you know there's that brief window when the sun goes down, but it's still you still have light. But hit 6:30, that's a big one because 50% of the time I'm home from work by 6:30, so like it's nice to like not drive home in darkness.
Yeah, I'm not wishing time away, but I'm telling you that those summer months where you get home from work and you can go for a long walk with the dog and it's bright out till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, those are the days.
It's so funny too because I can't remember if I've talked about this on this podcast or not, but my schedule used to be I got off work at 4 every day, and I never understood why people had such a problem with like early getting dark early. I'm like, it doesn't really matter. It's not that big of a deal. But holy shit, now that I frequently am staying at work past 6, I like that suffocating feeling of driving into work in dark and driving home in the dark.
Yeah, to some degree, like I think we all have sundowners. We all have it.
Yeah, I just never realized it. Because at 4 o'clock, you still get sunlight on the way home. It was never dark at 4 o'clock. But yeah, so
the older I get, the more I'm learning about myself too. Is like you do all these things kind of subconsciously, and you don't know why you do the things you do when you're younger. But I was always, and my friends used to make fun of me in college, but I would schedule early classes so that I could be done by noon or 1 o'clock every single day. And living in Boston in the wintertime, it now makes sense. Like, oh, I was trying to maximize my awake daylight hours.
Yeah.
And I was kind of doing it subconsciously, but I just knew that I had these really uneasy feelings going to class at 6 or 6:30 p.m. when it was dark outside. It just made me really depressed.
Oh, I hated it. Yeah, I was the exact same way. I signed up for the early classes. I would walk to class in dark, and I was okay with that because it's the morning and it's supposed to be dark, whatever. And being done early afternoon is just such a great feeling.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some music. There's a whole potpourri, I think you called it, of items we're going to talk about today. But first, I want to talk about my hat. For those on YouTube can see I'm wearing the agriculture dad hat. I did see them play, and it was really great. They're amazing live. But the weird thing about them is the amount of joy that they play black metal with. They smile at each other. They're having a good time while they're playing one of the most brutal forms of metal music in existence. And they were selling t-shirts that had just giant print on the back of them. It had the little agriculture logo on the breast, and on the back it says, "I love the spiritual sound of ecstatic black metal by the band Agriculture."
I love that.
And that's like perfect for the band.
Yeah. Well, so I remember reading like the first article I ever read about them when I heard their debut album, and it talked about like them describing it as ecstatic black metal, and I was like, what does that even mean? But like when you listen to it, it was like, oh yeah, this is ecstatic black metal. Like it makes sense. They're such a unique band. They're such a cool band. Unbelievably talented band. I've seen a lot of live videos of them. There's is it KEXP or is it another
Audio Tree or KEXP? I can't remember which one.
but it's one of those well worth checking out that they've done recently. It's so good. Um, but yeah, so we had talked last time about maybe kind of like what the crowd was going to be like. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was not probably the oldest person there. There were a lot of old school metal fans there.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Although who can tell age anymore, especially when pe- people have a full gray beard in their they could be in their late 30s, they could be in their early 50s. Who even knows anymore? But
That's true.
no, it was a really great crowd. Definitely shaded to the older side. And the opening band was Knoll, Knoll. They were hardcore black metal and very, very scary. Like lights all the way down and then coming back up, and just, complete silence from the instruments while black metal vocals are going on, and then the band all comes in. Very effective, but like terrifying. Where agriculture is good natured and fun, this is like the horror movie of that you expect from some black metal bands.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's traditionally what black metal is. So we're just used to these bands who have bastardized it, the agricultures and deaf heavens of the world.
Yeah. So we go from there to the Super Bowl halftime shows. I think we have very different takes on this. So you watched the Super Bowl halftime show and you saw Bad Bunny.
Yeah. For me, I don't distinguish between any form of disposable pop music. And I know you're going to push back because you're going to say that Beyonce isn't disposable, but to me, she is. And so, like, whether it's Bruno Mars, Beyonce, Bad Bunny, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, I don't distinguish between any of it. It's all just not for me. And so I don't get like opinionated about the music. So for me, the music is whatever. Bad Bunny's not my thing. I'm never going to listen to a Bad Bunny album. It's cool that people like him. That's whatever. But putting that aside, the visual production of it blew my mind. I thought it was so cool. I thought it was maybe my favorite looking halftime show ever. I loved the people that were in the ferns with making up the maze. I loved like just the intricacies, like when they were mimicking the street with the shops, like the barber shop on the end. There was actually somebody inside getting their haircut. I love the fact that the couple getting married actually got married. That was legit. It was not a stage thing, that it was actual people getting married. Just the whole messaging of bringing people together, I thought was fantastic. So I loved it for all of those reasons, but I'll let you tell us why you hated it so much before I get into the politics of it, because I do want to say a couple things about the politics of it as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, I didn't hate it because of the politics of it. So I must say that for the record, because a lot of people who hated it went in to hate it because of the politics. I went in hating it for musical reasons. There is a huge, monumental difference between a pop singer who writes giant anthemic stadium rock songs that everybody can sing along to, and like what Bad Bunny does, which is more like what a Pitbull might do. Although Pitbull then invites a bunch of singers to sing the big anthemic whatever parts. Occasionally you'll get a ballad
Ricky Martin, like Lady Gaga.
But neither one of them sang anything big and anthemic, did they?
That's true. That is true.
It was all just kind of party music without any emotion to it whatsoever. The imagery and the thematics and all the, it was more like the pomp and circumstance of an opening ceremony to the Olympics, where China wants to put their best foot forward, and in this case it was Puerto Rico. It was like a Puerto Rico had the Olympics and this is what they would do. And yeah, it was a little bit more caustic, of course, just because of all the political things that are going on in the world right now. But the only thing, and this is again me being grumpy old man, the only thing that I hated more than whatever, hated, I just didn't enjoy it. The only thing that annoyed me more were all the politicians pretending to like it because they had to. Like former Republican governor of Ohio turned anti-Trumper John Kasich talking about how he loves it and Bad Bunny hit it out of the park. Like, dude, wrong metaphor, first of all. Wrong sports metaphor for football. But second of all, you're not fooling anybody. You don't like Bad Bunny. We know you don't like Bad Bunny. You're saying what you think you're supposed to be saying because it's politically advantageous. And now we've lost the plot. I want to talk about the greatest halftime shows of all time because Beyonce was a great musician, or Prince played Purple Rain in the Rain, or whatever. And this was all about statements and stuff, and it bothered me. I don't want statements. I wanted whatever. And it's fine. And I guess I am mad about it. And this is me getting it out there. But like, it just wasn't for me.
So I think all that's totally fair. I'm not going to like mince, like, again, because it's just a matter of opinion at the end of the day, like how you feel about different forms of pop music. Like, I'm not, like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I don't see any distinction between any of the pop artists who have had halftime shows. It's all the same thing for me. And so I don't like any of them. So, and like but like, if it's a rock band, I don't like it either because most of the time the rock bands aren't actually playing instruments. Only the singer's mic is live.
Yeah, everybody remembers Red Hot Chili Peppers not even pretending to play their instruments.
Yeah. And, these are like the necessities of what it takes to sound good as a rock band. You can't.
Although going back to 2008, Tom Petty actually played.
Yeah. Well, I presume Prince did too.
I think so.
And that Prince performance was phenomenal. Like when I'm not,
and it's fine that we're not doing. It's fine that we're not doing Tom Petty level stuff anymore. If they did, it would be Foo Fighters. It might be Pearl Jam. It might be, and we've gone another direction, and they've got a different strategy, and they're trying to bring in an audience that's not already watching the game, and that's fine. I don't care if we go back. This one anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like I just don't feel anything about halftime shows because it's so clearly not for me. And that leads me into my thing I want to say about these politics. And I've really been like thinking about this over it was staggering. My Twitter For You page was nothing but people talking about halftime shows, either Bad Bunny or Kid Rock. And like, I mean, just opinions all over the place on these two things. And like, what as a society are we fucking doing here? Like, when we are so worked up, like, first of all, like, let us back up to the beginning. What was Bad Bunny's crime that the right was so upset about?
I mean, he criticized ICE.
Okay. Yeah. So for that reason, your feelings are so hurt. Your precious little snowflake feelings are so hurt that cancel culture sets in and we have to cancel Bad Bunny and not watch him and put something else on TV. Give me a break. Like, and the funny thing about it is, like, Bad Bunny is not a political entity. Like, when he's performing, like, he did address it to a degree with like all the flags and everything like that and calling out all the American nations and saying, together we are America and all that stuff. Like, I get that. But like, that's something worth not watching. And like, how many people said, well, I can't understand the words, so I'm not going to watch. Like, really? That's our problem? You can't understand the words? Like, did you understand Kendrick Lamar's words, or maybe is that a bad example?
Hold up. So again, I think that's a stupid thing to say. But you need to be honest. It's not whether you could understand the words or not. It's knowing that you couldn't understand the words because it was a different language and it wasn't for you. Anybody who hated the Super Bowl halftime show because it was in Spanish and you were offended that that language is not for you, that's not where I'm riding, by the way. That's not the side of the fence that I'm on.
Yeah.
But it's not. I saw a lot of people going, well, I grew up on Pearl Jam. I never knew what Eddie Vedder was saying. So how could I be critical of? No, it's because it's Spanish. It's because it's a different language. It's not about understanding it or not.
Right. Which leads to perhaps some other issues that I won't get into on this podcast. But
or you can. We can't pussyfoot around it all the time.
Like, yeah, like I just feel like there is an inherent bias. I'll use that word. The word racist gets thrown around a lot, and I don't think racist always means what people think it means. I think there's a difference between racism and bigotry and small-mindedness and xenophobia. Like, these are all different things. They're not all racist. But like, when your problem is that this guy who grew up in Puerto Rico where they speak Spanish, like, he's just speaking the language he was born to speak, and he is an American, and you cite that as a problem for not wanting to watch, like, that's problematic. That it just is. I'm sorry. Now, if you want to say, as much as I mocked it earlier, like, if you're going to sit here and say, well, I don't like that he criticized ICE, so we need to do something else. And, I mean, I guess, like, that's a stance, but, like, and don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Like, you can feel however you want to feel about ICE. You can not like that he criticized ICE. That it's totally fair. That's your right to feel the way you feel. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't feel the way you feel. But why does that mean that you can't just sit there? You're watching the Super Bowl anyway. It's 13 minutes of your life. You can't just have this on. Go to the bathroom, get a snack, do whatever. Why does it have to become this whole political statement, and we have to posture and, like,
but also, why did
it
have to be? Why did the NFL have to make a political statement? They knew that they were doing this as well. And so in some ways they welcomed. Yeah, absolutely.
Bad Bunny is a massive artist. Like,
there are many massive artists.
He just won the Grammy for Artist of the Year. Like, I feel like that's.
But he's been picked for 6 months now.
But I'm just saying that, to me, those go hand in hand in saying, like, this is like.
They knew when they picked him that he was going to be controversial.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. And that's okay.
I don't know if I agree, but
I mean, I just, the second he was announced, it was already controversial. The second. So they had to know. They're not stupid.
I mean, is there anybody you could pick that wouldn't be controversial, though?
Was Shakira controversial? Was J-Lo controversial?
She would be today. Shakira? She's not American. I don't think so. She's not American. She can't. I think you're applying something different. Bad Bunny's different. Bad Bunny's different because he was controversial. Shakira's never been controversial. J-Lo's never been controversial. And again, I feel like I'm arguing on a side that I hate. So I hate to argue it, but like, the NFL also knew what they were doing. First of all, maybe this is just my naivete because I don't really follow Bad Bunny, but I never recall Bad Bunny being a, like, statement of political, like, anything prior to him saying one thing at the Grammys when he won the award, which was a reaction to a hot topic that's going on. Like, as if all of us haven't talked about ICE in our day-to-day lives, like, but because he's a musical artist, he's not allowed to talk about ICE. I don't know. Like, it just all feels so blown out of proportion. Again, disagree with what he said about ICE all you want. I will never tell you you can't feel the way you feel about that. I just don't understand why it delves into this, like, it's reverse cancel culture. Like everybody takes offense to everything on both sides now, and it's just so suffocating. I'm just tired of it. Like, this is a halftime show of the Super Bowl. It ain't that deep. It doesn't mean that much. There's no reason for it to blow up into this shitstorm of just everybody like performatively having an opinion on it. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it, and we're kind of doing it now as well. But I think I don't think it should have been this big of a deal, but I think the NFL and all the people and Apple and all the people who brought him in there knew what they were doing, and they got what they wanted.
Yeah, that's fair. I still don't agree with that point because I just don't remember it being a controversial thing until
I
the
mean, he was
Grammys.
critical of Trump going back to the hurricanes and the hurricane response, and there was messaging about how many days Puerto Rico is without power. And like, maybe I'm not saying he shouldn't make those statements, but I'm just saying that points to my example that the NFL and all the people who were planning that halftime show knew exactly what
Just
they
seems
were
like
doing.
such a crappy reason to not be allowed to do a halftime show because you spoke
It's
out
not
about issues that affect your country. Like,
well, but you're saying it like as if he would have been chosen and then he would have been unchosen. I'm saying that whoever was making this decision for the NFL halftime show has.
no, I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying that person who's making that decision, I think it's a shitty reason to say, well, we can't consider Bad Bunny because he spoke out about wanting power in Puerto Rico.
And I think they look at all those things every year. They specifically went for Kendrick Lamar in the year where he was going to call Drake a pedophile. I mean,
Sure.
let's be honest. That's their track record now.
You know what they just need to do is get Turnstile next year, and then everybody can be happy.
So I guess my point is, if you look at the last 2 years, the people who are planning the NFL halftime show are edgelords too.
Then that's fine. Maybe they are. But like,
let's see who they pick next year.
Man, do these people like? And I'm, I want to be certainly be clear. Like, I do think that at a certain point, political correctness had swung too far, but we are in such a dramatic overcorrection now that it's just, can we just get back somewhere in the middle and get back to just living our lives and not like worrying about every little thing and whether they dared to criticize, because nothing is more anti-American than exercising free speech. Like, I don't know, it just drives me nuts. Like, you can disagree, but let people speak their minds. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, and if we could get all the politicians to get off of Twitter or whatever Twitter equivalents they tend to spout on, I think we'd all be better off.
Yeah.
How much of this is just like going back to that level of messaging all the time, and even my criticism of John Kasich, who I like, it was because of a tweet. And I'm like, yeah, okay, Mr. Performative social media guy, you're 73-year-old man. You don't like Bad Bunny. You don't. Right. And I know you don't listen to his music. You don't.
Yeah.
All right, let's not even talk about Kid Rock. There was an alternative halftime show.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's an equally unfun story. Let's talk about Casey Wasserman. So let me give a little bit of background on this. Casey Wasserman is one of the most powerful people in music management, used to be in sports management as well, talent management, Wasserman companies. And turns out he was pretty close to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, and he appeared in the Epstein Files, and the artists from Chapel Roan to Best Coast are speaking out. They're leaving if they can. They're demanding he step down. They're reiterating their support for their individual talent managers within the agency and begging for distance from what they perceive or what they accuse him of being as an awful person who said some gross things to Ghislaine Maxwell in the Epstein Files.
Yeah. So how political do we want to get on this? It's not even political. This isn't political. It at a base human level, like it has just been so staggering, so soul crushing, seeing the depth of Jeffrey Epstein's influence on this ruling class in America, whatever you want to call it.
From the beginning of
Elite
crypto
class,
to every tech company, from Microsoft
entertainment,
to entertainment
to politics.
And to Victoria's Secret and Abercrombie and Fitch.
That's right. That's right. And it's just like this class of people that lives an entirely different existence from the rest of us. And they exert tremendous power, tremendous influence, tremendous wealth. And all along in these circles, they all have, to some degree, these tendrils into illicit sexual activity. Now, I'm not going to accuse all of them of being pedophiles, but I will say the coded language they use in these emails is impossible to ignore. That it wasn't like, were they like joking about it? Were they trying to be edgelords? I don't know.
Is that some level of knowledge?
Yeah. And it's so unbelievably inappropriate. And I just feel for all these artists that, you know, you just don't know. I go back to like, I'm even like thinking of like, this is not near as bad, but like when you think about what happened with Jeff Rickley and the Pharma Bro, whatever his name was. And it did real damage to Jeff's reputation, and it was this like guilt by association type thing, and you know it was
he came out sympathetic in the end because he handled it so well.
He did, but 100%. Still, it was a difficult situation, and I just think about these artists who, I'm not going to say guilt by association, but like, you know, you're connected to that. That's the lifeline between you and that class of money and power and influence, the people that are going to shape your entertainment career. And you like go into this because you're an artist, like you just want to make people happy, you express something and put yourself into the world in this way, and that's been robbed of you to a certain degree, because you became a product to this class. And God
forbid you're an artist who's been dealing with your own personal trauma or something that might hit in this zone where you're extra sensitive for a good reason.
Yeah, it's all horrible. And so I was so happy to see, and Bethany is one of my favorite artists.
Bethany Constantino from Best Coast.
One of my all-time just favorite, like, because she's always been very upfront, honest, keeps it real. If you follow her on Instagram, she shares all kinds of parts of her life with people. It was like awesome, like seeing her like transition into motherhood and talking about like the feelings of that and all these things. So I'm a huge Bethany Cosentino fan. And I was so proud of her for being one of the first ones to stand up and demand that he stepped down. It was encouraging, it was inspiring, and you know, I hope to hear more artists speak out against these people that are caught up in these files.
Yeah. I don't really have much else to say about it. It's like it feels like the story never ends and might never end for a very long time, until natural causes takes its course across a whole generation of bad people who did bad things, with an even maybe the worst of them all, who might or might not have killed himself in prison.
Yeah. It hits really close to home here in Columbus, because Les Wexner is somebody who wields incredible power and influence in Columbus, and particularly with Ohio State University. There's a lot of connections between Ohio State and Epstein, which is incredibly disappointing, especially when you consider the wrestling scandal, and you know, well, it wasn't just wrestling, but the sports doctor. Oh, his name escapes me at the minute. But there's been issues with band directors and abuse. That like Ohio State has had some rough situations, and and that's where I feel that, like, as somebody who loves that university. That university is in my blood. I only applied to 2 schools, and that's because my mom made me apply to somewhere else other than Ohio State just in case I didn't get in. My entire life, all I wanted to be was a Buckeye, and I was so proud to go there and graduate from there, and it's like a massive part of my identity, and it sucks. Like, feeling disappointed by the university in so many different ways too. So all this hits close to home for me too, not in the same way as it does for these artists, but it's all connected, and you just don't know, like, to your point, where's it going to end?
Yeah, and for those who aren't in Ohio, Les Wexner is somebody who's got his name on buildings all over Columbus and all over Ohio State University for being such a massive donor. And he definitely got some tax advice and accuses Epstein of misappropriating $48 million at some point. But there's a lot of intertwined things between those two that's sketchy as all hell.
I don't want to sit here and say I know what Les Wexner's involvement was.
We have no idea
that side of it. That I don't know, but it's just the disappointment of being associated in those circles when there's all, like I said, there's been so many other instances of problematic behavior, and so it's just like, yet and again, it's another round of that, and so it's just, I don't know, it just weighs on you.
Well, and the other reason why it weighs on us so much is, yeah, you find these little spots where it hits close to home, but even when it doesn't hit close to home, it's like all the wealthiest humans in the existence of the universe, whether it, or powerful. So you've got presidents, you've got Bill Gates, you've got Elon Musk, you've got basically
the British family.
Yeah, you got the royals in many different countries that have royals, and all of a sudden it just feels like there's a class of at least uncaring, if not evil, kind of sitting out there with way more power than all of us put together.
It's disheartening. It's just so crushing to think about it.
And we just wanted to listen to music. We just, you know, and now we're talking about.
Has this become our politics? I mean, again, I don't consider this politics, because I don't think there's two sides to this. There's,
I'm with you on that one. And hopefully, but here's the other thing. I know a little bit about business, and you do too, and I'm sure a lot of people in our audience do as well. Even if Casey Wasserman somehow, quote unquote, steps down, or even if he sells his company, he's, it's like when they forced the sale of the LA Clippers, like big punishment. He made $4 billion or $8 billion or whatever it was selling the team. These guys, these people can't lose. And that's disheartening as well.
That's exactly it. That's well said.
All right, let's talk about some just tidbits, musical tidbits. I've been following along with Spanish love songs as they are creating and recording LP5, they're calling it. And I read a couple quotes from Dylan Slocum is the singer and principal songwriter, and he's got a Substack going. And I pasted this into our little chat today. And to answer the question more generally, like I did on Instagram, LP5 is going to expand on the sound we've been chasing with No Joy and Brief Intermission, but it's going to be angrier than Brave Faces Everyone and have a certain sense of not caring like we did on Schmaltz, which has me intrigued. Although, when bands think they're doing something and they're calling their shot, they're not always as aware or have the same perspective that we fans do.
Yeah, but I still think look, I was going to be excited about this album no matter what, they said about it. We recently, when we talked about what would constitute potentially a 10 in the Pitchfork scale in recent years. Like Spanish Love Songs, Brave Faces, Everyone was on that short list of consideration for it. That's how great that album was. So I've been saying forever, I'm ready for just a proper follow-up to that. And so like I wanted them to get back to making that kind of music. Like I like how did he describe Schmaltz?
Not caring, sense of not caring.
Sense of not caring. Like I've wanted that back in them because a lot of their more recent stuff has felt overwrought with like I don't know, just like too much thinking. Like I don't know, it never felt as emotional or off the cuff as Brave Faces did. So I'm excited to hear whatever that sounds like. But the angrier thing, it's like, are you as mad as Foxing got?
Are you as mad as The World Is a Beautiful Place?
Yeah. Like let's find out. How mad are you?
I don't think Dylan Slocum can scream like those guys.
Maybe not, but honestly, like, I'm not sure I would have thought Eric Hudson could scream like that either.
No, that's absolutely true. All right, well, let's do some recommendation corner, because we had a couple new albums come out last week, and then I've got a couple of things that I'm really looking forward to listening this Friday. By the time this episode is out, these things should be out, but I'm gonna let you go first.
So I was expecting to come and talk about Rat Boys, which I don't know if you're going to talk about that, but
I am.
So that was my expectation, and I listened to that. That was the first thing I listened to on Friday, and I'll let you talk about it first when we get to that, and I'll give my reaction. But spoiler alert, it's incredible, and I love it. And then on a whim, I was just like, Spotify told me like, oh, hey, by the way, Silver Sun Pickups have a new album out today too. Oh, okay. Like, do I care? No. So, but curiosity got the best of me, and I don't know
we've loved them before. We dated for a summer.
Yeah, exactly. And that's about all it was. I mean, it was a very short-lived fling, but what a fling it was. And so, all right, fine, I'm going to check it out. So this album's called Tenterhooks. And
cool album title, by the way.
A very cool album title. And the first song was insanely good. Insanely. It's probably the best song on the album. And I was just like, oh, okay. What do we got going on here? Now, so I listened to the rest of the album. There's a handful of albums I don't care about, or I mean, a handful of songs I don't care about, but there's a handful of songs as well that have moments in them where I can transport my brain on that warm summer night, standing outside at the amphitheater watching Silver Sun Pickups play. Like, these songs feel like that original Silver Sun Pickups thing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's as good. I'm not going to say this is a like true return to form or whatever you want to call it. And we always have to sort of qualify all these things that we talk about, but I'll just say, like, for 2026,
couple songs,
couple tracks. I just didn't expect to have a Silver Sun Pickups album that I would want to listen to more than once in my life again. And I've listened to this album probably 4 times already. And I would have no problem recommending this to anybody who has ever cared about Silver Sun Pickups. So
I think this one is on par with, and maybe you'll think that I'm overrating this, but I think it's on par with the most recent Smashing Pumpkins that was like back to real songwriting.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I think
couple of tracks.
Couple tracks. I didn't like that one as much as you did. I think I like this Silver Sun probably a little more than you do, but I think that's a totally fair comparison. It was like you just were so out on them for so long that it was just like, it's just feels good to have. They made me feel a little something again, and I miss that side of Silver Sun Pickups. So
sometimes these bands don't know when to stop pushing forward and to just stay in their lane. And I never want to say that because there's always a Radiohead out there, or I don't know, fill in the blank, 9 Inch Nails. I never want 9 Inch Nails to stop pushing forward, but I feel like Trent figured out the furthest he could go and then settled into his lane. And some of these bands, they push it and push it and push it, and then they end up losing themselves and losing who they were. And you don't want to push it so far that you lose who you were, unless you're Radiohead, and then you can.
Then you just do it. But no,
there's only like one Radiohead,
Yeah. I think, you get in there and make it about foxing.
Right.
But foxing is a great example of a band that
used to be a Pearl Jam podcast. Now it's a foxing podcast.
Yeah, it started as an emo band, and every album pushed until they sort of like found themselves, in the Draw Down the Moon, Near My God, and then the self-titled just felt like the culmination of like where they had arrived to. Like that was the moment, and they didn't need to push past that.
Them.
And that was that. So yeah, that's what happens. Sometimes you just do that. Like Fugazi, The Argument. You make that album. What are you going to do now? You've achieved perfection. You're done. You go home and you don't play anymore. So
you make pretend records with Henry Rollins.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about Rat Boys. I still haven't finished digesting this one, but it is probably going to be one of the top 10 records this year for me. It's hard to imagine something coming in and supplanting it like 11 times, 10 times, knocking this one out. I really feel like this band sounds like they sound really comfortable. There's it's not growing up. It's not a maturity. It is, but that's not what it is. This just feels like it sounds like they made the record they wanted to make. There are songs that are sprawling. They had one song that was really long on the last record. They've got one song on this one that's 8 minutes and 30 seconds. They've got, my favorite one is called Burn It Down, track number 10, 7 minutes and 6 seconds. And they just really let their art flow on this one, is what it feels like to me. And the results are just incredible. They sound like a cohesive band from the beginning of the album to the end of the album without repeating themselves, which is so rare.
So I would say, I don't know if this will make any sense to you, but it makes perfect sense to me in my mind. What I think of Rat Boys, when I listen to them, I hear what I think people are describing they hear when they listen to Wednesday. And like, I don't quite know how to articulate that better than that, because I don't love Wednesday. I like and respect Wednesday, but I don't love Wednesday. I love Rat Boys. And this album is, when you talk about making the album they wanted to make, like that's so spot on. That's like literally the point I wanted to make about this. Like, this is the most like authentically them album that they could have possibly made. And I don't love when they slow down and go like super into the country lane. That's not my wheelhouse. But I don't hate it for them either. Like, it's not enough to make me want to stop listening to the album. It doesn't make me skip the track. Because I know there's more goodness on the other side of it anyways. But like, it's just funny that like all these things, it's like this whole like rap, like I don't know, like what would you even call Rat Boys? Like, are they're not an alt country band really, but they also are. But like,
everybody who wrote about them called them indie country twinged indie rock.
Yeah, I mean, there's elements of all of that in there, but like, I don't know. I think they're just such a unique and cool and inspiring band. I love that within one song they can take on several different identities, let alone over the course of an entire album. Like, all the different flavors you're going to experience is just unbelievable. So I'm with you. I am absolutely gushing over this album. I don't know where it'll finish for me, but right now it's got to be number one right now. Like I don't,
Yeah.
So.
And you know what's really odd about our conversation today is that this album was produced by Chris Walla, former guitar player from Death Cab, and he's doing half of the Spanish Love Songs album. They're working with two producers.
That's
so
cool.
Maybe this is like he's obviously produced a lot of great records over the years, but maybe this is like a breakout moment where he becomes kind of an producer for a certain subgenre of indie rock and emo bands.
Sure. So I have one other recommendation.
He gets some playing credits on this record too. He played some synthesizer, played a little guitar here and there. Yeah, it's cool. All right, your other recommendation?
I didn't mean to cut you off if you have more to say about Rat Boys. Though.
No, the only other thing that I wanted to say is that this is a situation where it got an 8.4 Best New Music on Pitchfork. And the readers have it at 8.1.
Oh, the readers are a little under on that, huh?
I mean, okay. I guess that makes sense when you get a really highly rated record that you're going to find some haters who have paid the subscription and want to knock it down.
Well, I always feel too, though, like because you know what your ceiling is 10. Like you can't give anything higher than that. You somewhat reflexively or instinctually want to leave some room. You want to leave some headroom, because more stuff is coming. And if you put this as a 9, well, now you don't have much headroom there for other things to go in front of it. So you got to be careful with that. So sometimes that's where an album coming out early in the year can get hurt a little bit because you're trying to like set precedent for the rest of the year.
Right. No, that's for sure. The lowest, I'm reading all these reviews. The lowest I've seen is a 7.2. So it doesn't seem
really good.
A 7.0, that's not bad. You can justify a 7.0 on a record like this if it's not necessarily in your wheelhouse. Yep. All right, there's a 4.5. Those people ridiculous. Can get out of here.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So
it says nice, but in one ear, out the other. Continue to be underwhelmed by the buzzy Chicago indie scene at the moment.
That's how you know you have bad taste in music.
I guess so. Okay, so
boy, I'm gonna feel bad if that guy is a listener of our show.
I don't. You gotta kill your own. You gotta let your own people know. It's like sports talk radio. If you're nice to all the callers, you're not representing the audience.
Yeah, fair enough.
Callers are stupid.
You gotta tell them that they are.
All right, so there's a song that I've been listening to this week, a band called Teen Suicide that I'd never heard of, but apparently it was an experimental bedroom kind of indie thing.
Ray something.
But now it's graduated. This is their first actual studio record, and the song was super intriguing to me.
So unless I'm confusing this with someone else, do you remember like 10 years ago, there was that white teenage girl that did rapping called Kitty Pryde?
Yeah, she's part of this with Sam Ray.
Sam Ray, that's it. Yeah, okay. Wow. I did not know they were like performing as a band now. So she's a member of
the poll. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've strangely found her style of rap kind of interesting. Like, I don't know, like it was so unique. And she was also like sort of in the Danny Brown sphere back in the day. Like they had done some work together or something. So I just kind of knew who she was and I was inclined to give her a chance, I guess, because of that. But yeah, that's funny that's like a full circle kind of thing there. My song recommendation is going to be, no surprise, the new Filth is Eternal single. They put out a new one today. And let me tell you something. I don't think it's going to be as successful as like Scowl's transition, but like they brought the melody, and they've got the hooks in this thing. Like the guitars are still really interesting and crunching and heavy, but Liz's vocals are like, she is not screaming, she is singing and doing a pretty darn good job of it. Like it's really interesting to me, the direction they're going. And I don't know if I'm gonna love it as much as, like, I loved Filth is Eternal as like an outlet. Like that was the rage like coming out. So I don't know if I'll like it or not, but
all right. Well, it looks like I lost Andrew for a second, so I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up. You can find everything that we do at albumofrecord.com. You can find it on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you next time. It's been the Album of Record podcast.